You're sitting in a meeting. Nothing is wrong. Your boss is talking about quarterly numbers, the coffee is warm, the room is safe. And then it happens. A sudden shift in your chest. A prickle at the back of your neck. Your heart lifts slightly. Room at all. You are somewhere else entirely. Somewhere older. Somewhere dangerous. But the real answer to why that happens is far stranger than stress. It goes back further than your childhood, further than your culture, further than the entire written history of your species. The reason your body just did that has nothing to do with your boss. It has everything to do with a predator that has been dead for 10,000 years. Your brain is not a modern machine. That is the first thing to understand. The organ sitting inside your skull right now was not designed for offices, or traffic, or notifications, or social media comments. It was designed for one thing and one thing only: to keep a soft, slow, clawless primate alive on an open savanna surrounded by things that wanted to eat it. And it was very, very good at that job. The neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent decades mapping the fear circuitry of the mammalian brain, and what he found changes the way you understand every anxious moment you have ever had. Deep inside your brain, beneath the layers of language and logic and self-awareness, sits a small almond-shaped cluster of neurons called the amygdala. It does not think. It does not reason. It does not care what year it is. Its only function is to detect threat and trigger a response before your conscious mind even knows something happened. Ledoux called this the low road. When your senses pick up something that resembles danger, the signal bypasses your prefrontal cortex entirely. It shoots straight to the amygdala, which fires in milliseconds, flooding your body with adrenaline and cortisol before you have formed a single thought about what you are reacting to. By the time you consciously register that the loud noise was just a car door, your heart is already racing. The alarm went off before you heard it. This is not a flaw. This was the most important feature your ancestors ever had. Think about what life looked like for Homo sapiens 200,000 years ago. You are not at the top of the food chain. You are somewhere in the middle. Lions can outrun you. Leopards can outclimb you. Hyenas travel in packs. Snakes hide in grass. Hostile members of neighboring groups move at night. The world is genuinely, constantly, lethally dangerous, and your survival depends on one thing: never being caught off guard. So your brain built a system so fast, so automatic, and so deeply wired that even 200,000 years of evolution could not update it out of you. The system learned patterns. It learned that rustling grass might mean a predator, that a sudden shadow overhead might mean a bird of prey, that a face showing teeth might mean aggression, that a group of strangers in your territory might mean attack. And it stored all of these patterns not in your thinking brain, but in the part of your brain that acts before thinking. Psychologist Paul Ekman, who spent a career studying fear responses across cultures, found that these reactions are universal, not culturally learned, not regionally specific. The same facial expression of fear, the same widening of the eyes, the same intake of breath appears in people who have never met, across every continent, in every culture studied. Your body knows what fear looks like because your body speaks a language older than any spoken tongue. Now here is where it gets strange. The system your ancestors built was calibrated for a world of immediate, physical, visible threat. It was designed to respond to the lion you could see, the snake in the grass, the stranger at the edge of the firelight. It was not designed for a world where the threat is invisible, where the danger is a disapproving email, a financial debt you cannot see or touch, a performance review, a social rejection that will not kill your body but that your ancient brain interprets as potential exile from the group. And exile from the group, 200,000 years ago, was a death sentence. Here is something your rational mind knows, but your ancient brain has never accepted. You are not going to die from an awkward silence. You are not going to die from a bad presentation. You are not going to be eaten because someone did not respond to your message. But your amygdala does not know that. It cannot distinguish between a social threat and a physical one. It only knows that a signal has arrived that resembles something dangerous, and it fires. Every time. Researchers at the University of California found that social pain activates the exact same neural regions as physical pain. The same areas light up whether you stub your toe or get publicly humiliated. Your brain does not have a separate system for social wounds. It processes them the same way it processes a cut. Because for most of human history, social wounds could very quickly become physical ones. This is why rejection stings like it does. Why a harsh comment from a stranger can ruin your day. Why public speaking terrifies more people than death in every survey ever taken. Your brain registers the crowd, detects possible judgment, and fires the same ancient alarm it would fire if you stepped into a clearing and saw a predator looking back at you. The context is different. The chemistry is identical. But there is another layer to this, a deeper one. Your ancestors were not just hunted by animals. They were hunted by each other. Intergroup violence in prehistoric populations was not rare. Archaeological evidence from sites like Crow Creek in South Dakota, where researchers uncovered the remains of nearly 500 people killed in a single massacre around the year 1325, shows that humans have been killing humans for a very long time. The evidence of healed wounds on ancient skulls, wounds that show repeated blows and survival, suggests that your ancestors were not just occasionally in danger from other humans, they were regularly in danger. And so the brain built something for that too. You have a near-instant threat detection system for human faces. Your visual system is wired to process faces faster than any other object in your visual field. Specifically, it is wired to detect faces that are angry, threatening, or unfamiliar, before you detect faces that are calm and familiar. You find the one scowling face in a crowd of smiling ones faster than you find the smiling face in a crowd of scowling ones. Researchers at the University of Queensland demonstrated this asymmetry clearly, finding that threatening faces pop out from crowds in a way that neutral or positive faces simply do not. Your visual system is biased toward danger. It always has been. This means you are walking around every day with a perceptual system trained by millions of years of ancestral fear, scanning your environment for threats that almost certainly do not exist, triggering chemical responses designed for a world of claws and clubs in a world of keyboards and coffee cups. And it does not feel like ancient survival machinery. It feels like anxiety. It feels like dread. It feels like a vague, sourceless sense that something is wrong, or about to go wrong, or could go wrong if you are not careful. It feels like the low hum beneath ordinary life that you cannot quite name. The psychiatrist Randolph Nesse, one of the founders of evolutionary medicine, describes this as the smoke detector problem. A smoke detector is calibrated to go off more often than necessary because the cost of a false alarm is minor inconvenience, while the cost of failing to detect a real fire is death. Your brain uses the same logic. It will fire 100 false alarms to make sure it never misses one real threat. Every misfire costs you a little peace. Every silence it misinterprets costs you a little energy. But from the perspective of survival, the math works out. A nervous ancestor was a living ancestor. The problem is that your brain has never been informed that the predators are mostly gone, that the strangers you pass on the street do not want to kill you, that the silence after you send a message is not the silence before an attack, that the meeting where people are not smiling does not mean the group is about to cast you out. It fires anyway. It always fires anyway, because it was built to err on the side of survival, and it does not know any other way. So the next time you feel that prickle at the back of your neck in a room that is perfectly safe, know this: that feeling is ancient. That feeling kept a version of you alive on an open plain in a world of real teeth and real darkness. It built a fire and sharpened a stick and pulled the group closer together when the sounds at the edge of the camp grew too loud. It carried you across tens of thousands of years to this exact moment. And now here you are, safe, warm, sitting in a meeting where the greatest predator in the room is a quarterly spreadsheet. Your brain still thinks you are being hunted. And in a way, the fact that it got everything this wrong is the only reason you are here to notice.